midpoint of a segment is the point that divides the segment into two congruent segments, or it divides it in half. Okay? Right in the middle. Midpoint formula looks all crazy, so I'm going to write it bigger. Okay, so it is x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. Okay, it's a point. Okay? And then I'm going to write nice and big your distance formula. It's the square root of x2 plus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay? So all these definitions should be written down. All these formulas should be written down. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it is recording.
It's recording, guys.
Okay. Has everybody got this down? Because it's about to disappear.
Hold on.
Yeah, so that if you go home and you missed it because you weren't here today, you can watch it again. If you don't understand something, you can watch it again. All those reasons. All right. Make sure you look at your neighbor's table if you missed it. All right, we're going to move to the first problem. We're going to find the lengths of these segments, okay? And they're not vertical or horizontal like they were yesterday. They're diagonal, okay? Which means we're going to use the distance formula, okay? That formula right up there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the distance between B and D. Now the point is this, is to find out if B to D is the same length as A to C. Any guesses? Do we think it's the same length? No. Okay, let's find out. Let's prove it. B, we're going to label it x1, y1. And D, we're going to label it x2, y2. And then I'm just going to plug it into that formula. So we're going to go square root x2, which is 2, minus x1. What happens when I have two negatives? It becomes positive. This is squared. Plus y2, negative 1, minus y1, which is 3, squared. Now we're going to take out our calculators and put it in your calculator. You can do it by hand if you want. Please don't talk while I'm talking. It's rude. It is parentheses 2 plus 4 squared plus negative 1 minus 3 squared. Onto the square root sign. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. So I want you to take your calculator, push the little house button that's on, and it'll also take you back to your home screen. Then you're going to push A or click on A for calculate. And then we're going to enter this into the calculator. Okay? Some of you probably have last hour's class entered in there, but I want you to try it on your own. You're going to push the yellow button. Then you're going to push where it says x squared, which is right next to the 4. Okay? Then you're going to hit parentheses. And you're going to hit 2 plus 4, end parentheses, that little square button next to the 4 again, plus parentheses, negative 1, and then a minus, they're separate, minus 3, end parentheses, the little squared again, and then you're going to push enter. You should get approximately 7.211. Okay? Now I'm going to show you how to do this. If you hate this calculator or don't want to use it. 2 plus 4 is what?
6.
Did I do that right? Yeah. 2 plus 4 is 6. Squared plus negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4 squared. Sorry, it does that sometimes when it's recording. It makes that little slash line that's not supposed to be there. The square of 6 is 36. Negative 4 squared is 16. And then 36 plus 16 gives us 52. And the square root of 52 is approximately 7.211. I would take the square root of 52 or 7.211 as an answer. That would be fine. Okay. That was B to D. Let's try A to C. We're going to do...
Please excuse this interruption because our school is down. We may be making a few of these. Matthew and Ailey Ross, please report to the main office to be signed out.
Okay, we're going to label A, X1, Y1, C, X2, Y2. Do you guys think it matters? Could I have called C, X1, Y1? It doesn't matter. You can totally do that. Now I'm going to say the square root. And what's X2? What am I going to put down instead of X2? Anybody? Yes, sir? 3. You're going to put 3. Thank you. Minus, what is X1? Negative 1. Good, Austin. And 2 negatives make a positive. Again, this is supposed to be a 3 right here. Sorry that it's not very legible. Squared plus, what's Y2? 2. Minus Y1, which is 1 squared. So again, we're going to take our calculator, push the yellow button, push X squared next to the 4, parentheses, 3 plus 1, and parentheses squared, plus 2 minus 1, and parentheses squared. And we get approximately 4.12311. These will be the only calculators we're using in class, so I strongly suggest you get used to them. All right. What is 3 plus 1? What's 4 squared? 16. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 16 plus 1 is 17. Square root of 17 does equal 4.12311. Sorry about the weird line going through everything. It's not supposed to be there. When I record it, sometimes it does that. All right, we ready to turn it over? Are you lost, Gavin? 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So, okay, so we got 16, right? I have to talk through the whole thing. Hold on. 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 squared is 1, right? 16 plus 1 is 17. The square root of 17 will give you 4.123. All right, we ready to move on to the back? On the map, the city blocks are 340 feet apart east to west and 480 feet north to south. Find the walking distance between A and B. Okay, so this is if we're walking city blocks and we can't cross through people's yards. So we have to go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're 5 and 3. So that's how many feet we have to go, right? 8. Everybody thinks I'm right?
Yeah.
What do the directions say? City blocks, east to west, are 340 feet. North to south, they're 480. So I went 8 blocks, and I went 8 feet.
Yep.
Come on, guys. If you're going north 3 blocks, we take it and times it by 480 feet, because each block is 480. Nod your head, yes. Makes sense? Okay. Plus, how many blocks do we go east to west? It's on the board. 5. How many feet are each east to west block? 340. Oh, yeah, you are awake. Okay. So we take our handy dandy calculator. 3 times 480 plus 5 times 340. And we get 3,140 feet. Our next step is, what if we can go kitty corner? What if we can cut 3 yards? How would we figure out that? We would use the what formula? The midpoint formula or the distance formula? Yes, Ethan. The distance formula, because we don't need to find the middle, we want to find the whole length. So I'm going to label A, x1, y1, and B, x2, y2. Remember, it doesn't matter which way they're labeled as long as they're both 2 or both 1. So I'm going to take the square root of x2 minus x1. Oh, I've got 2 negatives, so what am I going to change it to? Positive. And then I've got y2.
Natalie Lacey and Christina Boucher, please report to the main office to be
Minus
signed out.
y1. 2 negatives make a positive and it's square. Okay, this is why we want these calculators, because I don't think a lot of you want to do this by hand. So we hit the yellow button, x squared, which is right next to the 4, parentheses, which are next to 0, 1, 0, 2, 0,
Christina Kelly, please report
plus
to the counseling
680
office.
squared plus 960 plus 480 squared. And we get 2,227.91 feet. These are supposed to be feet too. Okay, so if you wanted to go the shortest distance, which one would you take? The blue or the red? Blue. Okay. All right. If there was a mean dog in between one of those houses, you might be willing to take the longer one. Just run? Okay. All right, let's start some midpoint formula. There's no game. Midpoint formula. Okay, so here are her 2 points. Remember, our midpoint formula is x1 plus x2. I hear talking, and you're not answering a question, so I'm not sure why. And y1 plus y2 squared divided by. So I'm going to make this x1, this y1, this x2, this y2. So x1 is 1 plus x2 divided by 2. y1 is negative 3 plus 2 divided by 2. Does everybody get where I got that from? So I just labeled them x1, y1, x2, y2. And then I plug them into the formula at the top of your paper on the other side for midpoint. What is 1 plus 4?
5.
Okay. We're going to just leave it over 2 for now. What's negative 3 plus 2? We don't have to listen. What's negative 3 plus 2?
Please report to the main office.
Negative 1 over 2. That's the midpoint of those 2 points. All right, the next one's going to be harder. Because you saw, that's way less work than the distance formula, right? Okay. Now we're going to do the midpoint formula where I have a point in the middle. So I've got, the only parts I have is the middle and one endpoint. What I'm trying to find is the other endpoint. Okay? So it's a little complicated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say x1 plus x2 over 2 equals the x value for the midpoint. And then I'm going to say y1 plus y2 over 2 equals the y value of the midpoint. Okay, so here's my midpoint, 2 and 1. We've got the x value for it, the y value for it, and I've got point x1, y1, and I want to find x2 and y2. Okay. So I've got x1 is 1, plus I don't know what x2 is, over 2, and that equals the x value of my midpoint. Okay? So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2, and it gets rid of the 2 on the bottom. Oh, I hate it that it's doing that. These cross out, and I get 1 plus